Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, have another amazing and unique design by Steve Good, and it is a business card holder. Business card holders are a mainstay on the craft show circuit, or any business or organization that is privately owned. They will have the little card stand out there with the Take One on it, and it's always great in a unique way to represent what you do with your business card holder. This pattern that Steve offers is one of his older designs, and it represents and encapsulates a scroll saw artist perfectly. But really cool. I've already got all the pattern printed out to its full size and attached to our material with clear packing tape, and the main bulk of the design is this silhouette of a man at a scroll saw, and it looks just like my Delta scroll saw sitting there. Really cool. The only difference is I don't wear a hat, I do wear bandanas, and it's got the words scroll saw artist around the top and some beautiful font there. Really cool. This is 1/2 inch poplar, and the other part of the project is going to be the bracket and the holder for the actual business cards themselves, and all the material today came from the scrap bin, so a great way to use all of that up. And I'm going to use a piece of pine that I've got laying on the workbench behind me to make the base of it. Now, when I got back into scroll sawing in early 2013 and started rocking and rolling with it, I wanted a business card holder of my own, so I did cut the project out way back then on my old 16-inch Delta scroll saw that I still have. But here it is. I opted not to cut out the top words of scroll saw artist, just because I was getting back and getting comfortable with the scroll saw again after a long hiatus of not scrolling. And there you see my business card on it, so you see kind of what the project's going to look like. I do keep this one out in the workshop just to remind me of, you know, just memories gone by and everything. And the one we're going to make today, we're going to stain it, make it a nice uniform color, and clear coat it. But really cool. And since only the little scroll saw man piece here has internal cuts, I'm going to lay these pieces aside so we can head over to the drill press, drill the pilot holes in this piece so we can come back to the scroll saw and start scrolling. And over here on the drill press, we're going to take a small drill bit and drill all of the pilot holes for internal cutting on this project. And then we will head over to the scroll saw and begin scrolling. And I'm going to start by cutting out the bracket portion so we can focus on the main bulk of the scroll work in the piece we just drilled the pilot holes on. I am using number 5 ultra reverse scroll saw blades to cut out everything on this project, and it's cutting through all the material, the 1/4 inch material we just cut and this 1/2 inch material here of the poplar. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it is available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website, over in his free pattern catalog. I think this is just an amazing and unique design that Steve offers, and once again it's one of his older patterns. I think it was one of the first patterns I seen when I got back into the scroll saw woodworking hobby again back in early 2013. But I kept looking at the original one I done and wanted to remake it with the lessons I have learned along the way and see if I could produce an even better piece. And how the original one came about, I was offered to do scroll saw demos at the local makerspace, which has sadly closed down now. But the person that asked me to do it asked me if I had business cards, and that if I did, I should have a unique way to display them. So that was how the original one came about being made. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me over on Instagram at Artisan Pirate. I'd really appreciate the support. Coming through here, just did the final internal cut, and now is the long final outside cut that will release the piece from the waste wood. And this cut has the word scroll saw artist in it, and at this point I am really taking my time and letting the blade do the work. I don't want to break off any of the letters of the words. But as you guys know, I am in my element here when I'm at the scroll saw and I have good music playing. and there is some tight hairpin turns here, and the number 5 blade does exceptionally well handling all of them. And once we come around to the other side here, all of the scroll work will be complete. And then we can remove all the patterns from the waste wood and measure for the base. Consulting Steve's pattern here, but then I thought it would just be easier to take the original there and measure by it, and I will cut it to size and then rip it to the proper length, or width actually, and then we will give it a nice decorative edge on the front and back with a OG bit in the router. And then it will be time for sanding with 100 grit sandpaper in the palm sander. Sanding all the parts front and back. And now it is time for assembly, and I am using CA glue. This is medium grade CA glue, and then the activator to secure everything. And I will let this dry off camera around 5 minutes, and that gives me time to get the stain out and get some newspaper down so we can proceed to staining it with Minwax wood stain. And I thought the glue had bonded, you will see here in a second, and this is the first time I've ever had an issue like this happen when staining a piece. But once everything is saturated with the stain, it's time to wipe it down, and there you see the piece just fell off. Has never happened to me before. So I just cleaned everything up as best I could on the fly. And then I got the CA glue back out and saturated it with glue this time, an activator, and then I ran a bead of CA glue down the front and back. And I hung it on a hook to dry. And after an hour, it was time for clear coating with Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And once that dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed Scroll Saw Artist business card display piece, cut out primarily on the scroll saw with the assist from the table saw and the router to make the base there at the end. Thank you, Steve Good, for another amazing pattern from your pattern catalog. And keep in mind, this is one of his older pattern offers, so you might have to go through the catalog to find this, which I had to do when going back and refining the pattern. But really, really cool. I had a lot of fun making this. It took me around 30 minutes to scroll everything out, and of course, the majority of that time was cutting out the word Scroll Saw Artist. As always, I took my time and let the blade do the work. But really, really cool, and I think the stain made everything nice and uniform, and then the clear coat just brought the grain out and made everything pop and give it a nice glossy look. Really, really happy with this. And of course, in this video, you guys seen me make some mistakes, which doesn't normally happen, but still does happen out here in the workshop. When I was staining the piece, the main scroll saw work here came loose from the base, and that puzzled me because that's never happened with CA glue or wood glue while I was staining something, and I chalked that up for me not having enough CA glue or activator on it when I initially glued it up, even though it was a tight bond, and I double checked it before staining, because after I glued it with the CA glue, I set it aside for like 5 minutes just to make sure the glue was cured before going to staining, and it still popped off. And I didn't get frustrated. Most people might have got frustrated and thrown the project out at that point, or if you've got a wood stove like me, might have opened the door and thrown it in there just out of anger and everything. But I kept my cool and kept on keeping on and cleaned it up as best I could there on camera, and really doused it with CA glue, put it down, and then I put a bead all the way on the front and back side of the scroll work, and then activated it with the activator there, and then I let it dry on the hook, and it didn't come loose, so I knowed I had it glued properly then. But it just goes to show that even at this stage in my woodworking journey, I'm still making mistakes out here in the workshop. They're not as frequent as they were back when I started, when I was 14 years old, or when I picked it back up in early 2013, but they still do happen. They're few and far between now, but I was in kind of a way, happy to document this, that I still do make mistakes. And then in my haste of gluing this back on, I found out that the brackets were backwards, so then the car would have been backwards and everything. So then I had to go with the X-Acto knife and pop off the brackets very carefully to make sure nothing broke, and reattach them off camera the proper way, so the business card would of course be facing you guys the proper way. But I had a lot of fun making this, and I hope you guys like watching me make this. And I think this project also shows the journey that I have undertaken in the woodworking world, from looking at this one that I made back in 2013 to the one we made today in 2023. So basically a 10-year difference here, you know, around that, you know, in the forms of my style of woodworking and my confidence in woodworking. But really, really cool. Again, I had a lot of fun making it. Thank you once again to Steve Good for the amazing and unique pattern for scroll saw artists everywhere. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel, and also follow me over on Instagram at Artisan Pirate. Links to all my social medias, as well as ways to contact me, will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one. And remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.